Hello, Sabine Stovall with the Wealth Planning Company. You are watching Sabine Has Something to Say. We are halfway through 2025 and it's time for a mid-year update. The S&P 500 posted a total return of over 6% in the first half, which is great and also interesting because the companies that perform best so far this year are not the same companies that performed best last year. I am speaking specifically about the Magnificent Seven. Okay, so let's back up. The S&P 500 is an index made up of 500 companies, but it is a cap-weighted index, which means that the bigger a company is, the more influence it has on the S&P 500 as a whole. The Magnificent Seven, Alphabet, Apple, Amazon, Meta, Microsoft, Tesla, and Nvidia, are huge. And so they are very influential. They make up over 30% of the S&P 500. You know, it's interesting because I think that we like to think about the S&P 500 as a measure or reflection of the economy as a whole, when actually it is not. There are millions of companies in the United States, of which only a few thousand trade on a public exchange. Of those, only 500 are in the S&P 500, and within that, 7 companies make up 30%. It doesn't actually reflect the state of the economy as a whole. 2023 was a great example of this. This chart shows what happened between January 1 of 23 and Halloween. The Mag 7 was up 68% in this time period, but everybody else, the other 493 companies, were collectively down 4%. But because the Mag 7 are so influential, the S&P 500 as a whole was up 9.5%. So it was kind of a strange time to be an investor because these people on TV were like, the economy's great. Look, the S&P 500 is up 9.5%. But really, it was just 7 companies that were up. Everybody else collectively lost value. It is easy to pick on 2023 because that was a dramatic example of this phenomena, but the Mag 7's disproportionate impact on the S&P 500 goes farther than that. Looking out over the past 10 years, the Mag 7 has averaged over 25% annually, while everybody else was closer to 8.5%. And I don't mean to poo-poo an 8.5% return. That's great. Your money would have doubled plus some, but it didn't increase tenfold. Okay, but then 2025 happened. And what we've seen so far this year is a reversal of that trend. The Mag 7 was only up 2% in the first half, and the other 493 up 7%. So is this the beginning of something? I don't know, but I hope so. I would love to see this broader market valuation expansion continue. I want all companies to do well, not just the biggest 7. If this trend continues, then maybe the S&P 500 will actually be a better reflection of the economy as a whole. Okay, so what does this mean for your portfolio? If you are in a large cap growth fund that did amazing last year, but isn't performing as well this year, it's probably because your fund leans heavily into that Mag 7. And then the opposite is true. If your large cap growth fund looked a little disappointing last year, maybe it's because the managers of the fund took a more equal weighted approach to the S&P 500. Our economy is growing at an incredible rate. And while the big guys still look good, they're not the only ones in town anymore. More companies winning means more winning for everybody. I believe that the future of investing is very bright, and there will be amazing opportunities to invest in a breadth of companies, including the Mag 7 and the other 493 too. If you like the sound of this, but it feels overwhelming, give us a call. We at the Wealth Planning Company would love to help. We can help you understand what you have, identify what you want and need in the future, and help position you to achieve your financial goals. We would love the opportunity to work with you. Sabine Stovall with the Wealth Planning Company. Until next time.